Hey guys, we'll be back into this new video tutorial with the OSP Pro. Thanks for watching part 1 of section of this video. Remember telling you guys that we shall be making the section 2 or part 2 of this video, whereby we shall be putting the coding. If you remember, this way we ended up in the first section. If you try to run the program, or when you happen to try to run our program, we happen to come up with something like that. We remember just find the reset button working and the exit button. I think you can see that when you happen to close, just take it straight like that. And if you try to see the receipt is not working, the total is not giving, and the receipt is not printing out, and it's not giving us anything. But remember, even our calculator is not working at all. So I think the first thing we should do at the moment, let's start with the calculator very fast, so that this video should become pretty brief, so that we complete very shortly. So if you know you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I request you please make sure you subscribe to my channel, so that you can benefit and get to know more. So don't forget what we used. We happen to use what on us this label, a text box, just text box with the labels, and this is a frame. If what you're seeing there is a frame, this is a list box. Then these are buttons that you are seeing. There's nothing much more. I happen to use upside those stuffs I have listed down for you. So let's just try to exit here and try to go to I will start using what known as the putting the buttons. So if you try to cross check to put the buttons, there's some things you're going to do. Let's first go to exit. Now go back to the coding. Now we shall just try to see how we can put some exit in our program. Now to put the exit there in our program, there's some few stuffs that you're going to first declare before we happen to start first entering our information. So just go to this here, any in your machine, anywhere in your machine, just click anywhere, whether here, just double click, just come on top of your program. You're going to declare some function or some implicit function. So just say dim maybe first num, whereby I'm going to use first number or first num as a double. I'll use a double in this case of this program. Then also dim second num as double. Then we also have dim answer, or what will be our answer, as double too. Then I have what will be a string in this case, which can either be holding operations. So dim operation or operators as double, as a string, so not double. So those are the main 4 stuffs we are going to be using. This one we're going to be summing up our first numbers, and then this second one will be summing up the numbers whenever I'm going to be dealing with operators and I'm trying to compete with the answer to get the total results. So these are the first 4 things that you have to declare up on your program. So you can call them implicit functions, or what will be a function. So in fact, let me just call them functions in this case. I'm just going to call them my functions. Oh yeah, so I'm just giving it a name as my functions, and that's a comment in Visual Basic or VBA. So that's after doing that, that's great. Let's just go back to the coding. So we are just going to make sure at this case at the moment we happen to click here on number 7 and add the following pieces of code without wasting time. Now before doing so, click on this text box here, and you see it's text box 19. You can change the name of the text box, but for now I'm not going to change. I'm just going to copy that very name of the text box. So I'm going to enter the functionality here from 0 to 9. So the codes I'm going to be entering in 7 will work from 0 up to 9. So you'll just be repeating yourselves. So I can simply just go and put 0, double click on the 0, and you add the following pieces of codes. So what are we going to be adding there? We're going to just put some if statements, that if text box, remember 19 dot text, if it is equal to 0, then if that text box is equal to 0, then what should happen? Then text box 19 dot text is equal to actually having 0. If I space this down here, is equal to having 0, and is equal to having that very text box plus the value of that value in that very particular, which is actually, if you try to cross check, which is a 0, because that's what the real value of that element there in that case. Then we can always write one as and if. That implies that program ends. So these very pieces of code, just copy it. Now this one simply says that if that value, the element there is having a value of 0, you add that value to this very element, it will be added to that, then it will be computed for us. So if it is 0 plus 0, obviously it will be 0. So that's what the first pieces of code. So just come back in here and try to enter for 1. So entering for 1, just paste the other very pieces of code. In fact, just change this one to 1, and that's all, because the first one expect to be 0. Add to that. If that's the case, then it will be that. So this is simply what I'm trying to mean. So if you try to press here, I think you can see it is always trying to compute out for us. So this other clear button is not working. That's why you see it's not giving us out anything there. So if you try to cross check, that's what we have within our program. So let me just try to go and check and through these pieces of codes. I've said that if this text box one and this one here up is equal to this, then what should happen for us is that this should be given to us as that. So in a simple term, there's some pieces of code that I may happen to add inside here so that I can avoid errors. So I'm just going to try to move that, and I just say try to copy this very piece of code here of ours, and I try to paste it here so that I can show you to try to ignore the other kind of 0 which was coming in front of 1. So to put that thing to ignore, just try to say that this is equal to having the new value which is 1, just like that. So and otherwise this one becomes an else condition, that else if that's it, else textbox 19.text is equal to having this condition plus that, then and else. So in a simple term, this is a complete statement. So I used before, actually the first one I was using without this, that implies when there was no value. So this is what I can simply say. I'm going to happen to copy everything there, and I happen to paste, copy, and I paste it in where our 0 is, so that becomes a complete program like that. Now don't forget, I happen to use here one known as end if. End if shows simply the simple term is the one which shows that the program is ended there or breaks up the program. So in the simple term, if you try to run again, just try to reset everything. Well, that's great. So if you try to click here, I think you can now see we have complete oh, this gave me one, so I didn't shake up that. Sorry for that, my friends. I think I made a kind of mistake around here. Or let me just go back to my programs. I double click this, and then I happen to just change this one from that to 0. Otherwise this is going to be a 0. So that's it. So if you try to run here, if you try to press here, I think you can see we are not going anywhere. But when I press 1 and I say 0, that I think you can see it 0 are working. That's great. So let me just try to show you this very fast. Let me just try to put the coding for 2, and then you see what to do. So the coding for 2 should be here. So just come and copy these very pieces of code here, and then we happen to paste it here where 2 is. So just change this one to 2, just like that. So my friends, I expect you not to do for me for 3 up to 9. So when you're done, please, we can always continue. So let me just stop there, and I just wait for you guys to do from that pieces of code. Thank you. Hey guys, I think now let's try to run and show you my pieces of codes. So if you run your machine, you should get the following pieces working like this. So if you try to press 9, you should get your calculator just working as expected, or you should get it working less like mine, so that you guys can be on the same platform. So right implies, in a simple term, I've already happened to work right from number 0 up to number 9. So let's work with clear button very fast. So let's just go and try to put that pieces of code for clear button. So let's just come back here on our pieces, on our stuff. Just double click on clear button and then add the following pieces of code. So I'm just going to copy this very statement, and that's what I'm going to put in our clear button, which is here up. So if you are lost, just make sure come back here. I said if you're lost, just double click there on the clear button and try to paste that pieces of code. So these are the very pieces of code which simply says that it will be always equal to 0, because remember the default screen value is 0. That implies whenever someone try to click on there, whenever time someone clicks there, the default value should always come back to 0. I think you can see, which is something very nice. So far we are already done with that. So let us do at the moment try to handle what known as these operators, or if not so, let's first handle this kind of what known as the dot operators. So that to use dot operators, we shall use some kind of statement to turn that string off. So double click there, or here we shall be double clicking. So let's just go back and try to do that very fast. So come back here and double click there, so that you can add some if condition. Say if string, if in string, in a simple term, in a string. So if that's how we always happen to call up a text, if in a string we have that textbox.text. So in a simple term, not going to say equal to your text, and the text is having, if in a string we have textbox.text and in the bracket I have a dot, then what should happen for me? In a simple term, there I should close and let's say it should always going to be equal to 0. Then what should happen? If that's the case, I should work. I need a textbox.text is equal to, in a simple term, having what not textbox2, I mean textbox 19.text, because that's what we have. And then what known as just plus what known as the dot operator, which we have just there, and that's it. So that's the pieces of code that I expect you guys to try to put in your machines. And then you also end if, because I happen to explain to you how to use end if. So this in a simple term is going to turn those stuffs into a string and combine them into dot operator or into 0, and then after converting a string into digits, in a simple term, whenever times you happen to press here on the dot, you cannot again continue. Every much you set to dot, you cannot again continue to just end there. So that's what that stuff simply means. You cannot continue because you've already turned into a string. That's great. So let's just go at the moment work with what on us these operators. Now remember, with these operators, just double click one. We declared our functions, or the implicit functions here up, so we're just going to call them, have the first number, the second number, which we have just happened to declare them up. So just come back here very fast and try to see that we use that, they use them there very fast. So come here in the program, just double click here on the first one. Remember this is going to be our equal sign. So at the moment, let's just go and double click here, and we are going to be adding the following pieces of code so that we can be on the same base. So what we're going to simply say, we are going to simply say that if first number, just going to say first num, or first number is equal to having one as text box 19.text. That's what I will simply say there, that first number is same as having text box to text. Then in simple term, text box 19.text is equal to having nothing there. So, and otherwise I will bring the operators, because that's what I've been using there. Operators is equal to having the plus sign. So the plus sign will be just inside here. So that's what I will simply say I have. So in a simple term, to avoid that there's no error, just try to scroll up a little bit, and I see that this statement here, you've seen, just copy that very one, is the very statement we happen to use where we happen to use the other side. So if you're lost, just come back in here, double click here, and should direct you to that path, which is this one here. So you can always paste it there, which is that. So that implies, so far the moment, my friends, if you try to do this, should be working as expected. So just do the same thing for the rest, and then we catch up very fast. So I'll just be showing you the sign. Let me just do one with you so that we can be the same base. One thing you have to do, just copy this one here, just copy this very one, copy that very one, just come back here, double click this minus sign, minus, and then just paste there. So what you're just going to change is this one here, and that's all. Just change that one. So my friends, I expect you to do for me these two, and then we continue. Okay, that's great. So far I'm already done with that pieces of code. So if you try to run my stuff, you should get something like that. So I think all the pieces of codes are just working as I thought of. So that's great. So we also have the clear button. So the calculator, we're just left with this equal sign to work on. So to work with the equal sign, we're just going to put some good if condition there, so that we can happen to handle that if sign or if operator. So one thing we have to do, we happen to declare a function called your second number, which you're going to be using there to do some conditions. So copy that very statement, double click here, and then double click on the form and just go here to this equal sign. So double click on equal sign, and then we shall be just starting with the second number is equal to having one on as text box in the text. That's what I'll simply going to say, text box text. So if operators is equal to, maybe if operator is equal to what known as addition, in the simple term, if operator is same as having addition, then what should happen? Then we expect, so if operator is same as having addition, then the answer should be having one known as first num plus second num. So first num plus second num, just like that. That's what we expect in our program. Otherwise, we shall be expecting this kind of the text box 19, which is our screen, should be equal to the answer. That's what I expect that pieces of code to do for me. Otherwise, I'm going to just do another thing called one as else if. So with else if, I'm just going to be copying this condition here. Just be okay. Just copy these conditions here of your program, and that's the very pieces of code. We are just going to make a space and paste it there. So instead of having this one, I'm just going to make it to be minus, and then I'll go down of my program. So the rest of the pieces of code is just going to be as expected or as follows. So this is going to just be minus, and that's all. So otherwise, we shall just be having repeating these same pieces of codes throughout everywhere we shall be going in our program. So just copy these pieces of code so that don't waste your time. Paste it there and paste it there. So this one will be for what known as the multiplication, so you can just be changing it, and then this is going to be for division, and that's all. So if you try to cross check so far, that pieces of code should be working. And then don't forget, whenever ending a program should end with what known as end if, whereby end if will be summarizing all your pieces of codes, so that to make your programs to run smoothly. So if you try to cross check, if you try to see this plus 9 should give you the answer 16, maybe minus 8 should give you that, should give you 8, maybe times 3 should give you 24, divided by 6 should give you 4. That's great. So far the calculator is done and is working as expected. So in that period of time, my friends, let us just now go and work with this total. And remember, with the total we shall be handling some kind of a few arguments there, so that we can make it work. So to handle the total, remember our the reset button is working, and the exit button last time I showed in the first part of the section. So let's work on the total very fast, whereby when you click on the total, should give us the result within the program. So how are we going to be doing that? So to do that kind of pieces of code, or to do that, we're just going to be declaring also some kind of variables within our programs here, so that we can handle everything. So just exit here, and I just go back to my pieces of code. So just double click on the total. Here on the total, we are just going to be declaring, so just go declaration of variables. So I'm just going to be a bit kind of fast so that I don't take a lot of time, so that I don't take a lot of time for you guys. So I'm just going to be pasting my pieces of codes here. I'll explain them to you. Remember, this first variable declared, this one will be handling soda. Just what I'm trying to talk about is these other pieces of code this side. We have here soda, we have water, we have juice, we have wine, we have coffee, milk, tea, black tea, matoke rice, posho, meat, beans, vegetables. So if you just try to cross here, these are the pieces of code I happen to declare there. Remember the first one, soda, water, juice, they're all double, so that don't forget about that, juice and wine. Then variables for hot drinks, we have coffee, milk, tea. I didn't say black tea, I just called it tea. And then I have matoke, rice, posho. If you just cross check, those are the stuffs I have here within my programs. And then if you double click here again, we have the following pieces of codes. We have meat, beans and vegetables. Then also variables for subtotal and total itself. We have the taxes and then the total as the total. So what I'm going to do at the moment, we already have that with that. So that's what so far I happen to do. I expect you guys to go and cross check. So it should also maybe define a variable that can be holding the customer's name. So if you try to cross check, I need to declare also a variable for customer's name. So to handle that kind of stuff also, remember the customer's name is this one and it's text box 16. So to handle that kind of things, we also have to handle it just inside here. So you can give any variable, and I'm just going to call dim maybe customer underscore name to be just that kind of statement. And I'm going to call it a string because someone's name is a string, it's a combination of many letters. Then I'll simply say the customer's name, which is this variable, so that I don't waste a lot of time. The customer's name, which is equal to that variable, is equal to which text box. Remember I told you the customer's name, if you try to cross click here, is this variable text box 16, this one here. If you try to click in the customer's name here, this is the text box, it is text box 16. So the text box 16 is the very one we happen to go and double click here and try to paste it around there, which is going to be text box 16 and otherwise dot text. So that's what we expect it to be, the variable for that customer's name. Then the another thing that we're going to be declaring a variable for customer current date. So to declare that current date, I'm just going to say current date. To handle that kind of stuff, we are just going to declare also some kind of function. We're going to say dim, and I'll just say maybe date. I'll just say maybe date, or I can even just call it time as date, or as now as date. Just call it date, so that dim time as whatever, as maybe as time as date, so that I can just get the real time. So time is going to be equal to now. So the time which is going to be now is going to be just this function here now, so that the time is going to be now. So whenever the program will be handling of my stuff, so I will be handling it as now. So there's one thing that I have to let you know. I happen to talk about these variables here, blah blah blah, but I have not talking about what are they corresponding to. So I'm just also going to pause a little bit and I try to frame those stuffs very fast so that I don't take a lot of time with these simple stuffs. So members, if you try to cross check, I said there are some pieces of code that I'm going to try to add around here in this program. The pieces of code that I'm going to add here is going to be mainly handling up my few part of the variables. So if you try to cross check, we had this kind of the soda. So the soda should be corresponding to text box 2. So I'm just going to be sharing that things with you very fast. So this soda, this text box 2, and then water is text box 3, and then juice is text box 4, and then wine is text box 5. So let us just first go and do that very fast. So we have soda, this text box 2, this is 3, this is 4, and then this is 5. Then if you try to see, we have another kind of variables that we happen to pass there down, which is now coffee, milk, tea, those kind of hot stuffs. We're going to also put some variables there to handle them. So which text box is it corresponding to? So we have coffee is 6, milk 7, tea is 8. So just double click here and then just change that very fast. So this is going to be 6, So I just did this so that I don't take a lot of time, my friends. I'm sorry if I might confuse any of you, but I've just done that so that I don't take a lot of time. So if you also cross check, we already have that so far taken off. I will have matoke, rice, posho. That one also is under another stuff category, that's under food. So we have the sauce under here, down here, whereby we shall be having meat, beans, and then one on as vegetables. So that we shall also look at them later on. So let us just come here down and also look at that very fast. So we have here one on as meat. So just double click here. Already taken care of these other stuffs here. That's 6, 7, 8. So let us look also at meat. Matoke is 9. This is 10, and that's 11. So do that very fast. So just come back in here. Just double click here, and then just come back here where we are working on with. So this is going to be matoke is 9, is 10, and this push 11. So I think that's it. So you just cross check again. Matoke is 9. Matoke, if you just double click here, matoke is 9, rice is 10, and posho is 11. So that's it. And posho is 11. That's already taken care of. Let's look at meat and beans, then vegetables. So look at that very fast. So if you look at beans, that's 13, meat 14, beans, and vegetables 15. So do the same also here. Just come back here and do that very fast. So this is we said meat is 13, so that implies this is 12, that's 11, this is 13, 14, 15. So that implies in a simple term we are starting from 13. So in a simple term, just come back here and just make these ones to be 3, 14, and vegetables is 15. That's already taken care of. So let us look on total. So total is same as having all of those stuffs. You can cross check, have soda plus water plus juice, wine, coffee, meat, milk, tea, blah 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 of our stuffs. Then talk of the total. So this is going to be total. So look at the total. Total is this one here. So you click on total. Total is 17. So let's just try to sort total, and then our tax is 18. So double click on our total, which total is 17. So instead of having this as 16, that's 17, and our tax is same as having what known as 18. So if you try to cross check, I believe the stuff so far is working. So if I happen to run, I happen to enter here my name, maybe yet, if I have Enoguti, then I have here this, I have 0. I'm just checking so far the system it is working, and I have this one has that, and I have also some values there. So I have some values there, which is good. So if you happen to click here, I think you can see it has already given us something very good, because you can try to see this is percent. It's 1% of the total, which is 20, which is actually 20. So if you try to cross check, that's great. So if you try to cross check and have some values there and try to shake around the program, if you try to do that, I think you can see it's working as expected, but it's not computing for us that inside here on the receipt, and we are not going to yet to print. So you can see the stuff is not working as yet expected. So that's the part of the program we are left with. So let's go and handle that very fast so that don't take a lot of time. To handle those kind of pieces of programs, so one thing we're going to do is that if you try to cross check here, this is our text box 16, and then if you try to look at our tax, that's text box 18. So what did I happen to say here on the total? I happen to come back on the total here and I say that total is same as having all of this, but again text box 17 same as having total taken care of. So declaration for the tax, I said the tax is equal to having one known as 1 over 100%. That implies same as having 0.01 times total, which definitely will give you 1% of whatever you'll be buying will be the tax, and that's it. So if you try to cross check, I've said here that text box 18 is equal to tax. That implies tax already taken care of. So what am I going to taking care of at the moment? I would like to take care of what known as the one known as the list box, because that's what I'll be next to and what will be printed down there. Now don't forget, this list box is called list box 1. That's what we shall be having there. It's called list box 1. So to handle that stuff, one thing you're going to just be doing, I already have that program with me, so I'm just going to copy the code so that I show you. So let's just work on the list box and we'll try to see how we can add that stuff. So just double click on total again, and then remember, like I've said to you, this is list box 1, which you have seen. So one thing, just double click on the total, and later just go down here on this program of our total, just underneath this very stuff of the tax. So inside here, I'm just going to say about the list box, just there on the underneath there. So on the list box, that's what I'm going to add. Remember, it's list box 1. So here we'll be talking about the customer name, and this will be talking about the variables already declared there, the total tax, and that's it. So we shall be expecting that to be computed for us, whereby this one will be adding the item. This is just a line, that's all, that's the customer receipt, what is on the other previous program, and this is the time, which I happen to declare somewhere around here. And then this is the customer name. I think you have been seeing with me, following me. This is the customer name I already have here. And then if you try to look at the total tax, and that's it, the total tax will be that, handling that, because that's where I have it ready somewhere around here, which is the total tax, and that's is all. So if I happen to run this program, I try to say maybe the name of the person is called OSP Pro, and the stream is not going to take soda, but it's going to take water. The water is for 2000, and that's all. It's not going to take the rest of the other programs. It's not taking any of other stuffs around the program here. So if that's the case, and I just try to say that, so if I click here, I think you have seen some kind of stuff's receipt of mine around there, though the stuff is a bit small, but you can right now try to enlarge it and make that receipt a bit kind of bigger and try it for someone to read. So let's do that very fast by we just go into the receipt. Since the stuff is working as expected, click on the receipt and then just go to the font size, and then we just try to tell the font size that we shall maybe just need it to be regular, but to make it to be kind of tough so that it looks a bit good. Oh, let's make it bold. That's great. 14, 12, that's fine. So let's just try to use that here. Oh, sorry, just click here. I click here, I do the same thing again, OSP maybe Pro, and I just say maybe it's not taking any of that. It's not taking any of that so far, but maybe it's going to take black tea is at 3000, and then maybe he is not going to take any of that, but it's also going to take milk portions for 2000, and maybe it's going to take with the meat, and the meat is at 15, and then it's not going to take any of that. So if you happen to click here, I think you can see it's telling the person the customer name, the real date. I think let me just pause and I show you my real date today so that don't get confused, my friends. I think you guys now you can really see what I'm trying to talk about. My real date is really here, and the real time so far the person taking, that implies any time we happen to just try to click again, you can see that even the time goes on changing as long as the time the receipt is printed. So I think you can be seeing the receipt is, that's it. So one thing I'm going to do at the moment is just to print the entire form, which I'm going to just do within this very period of time. So let's clear up here and just go back and try to create the printf so that we can print the receipt very fast, then we end up with the program. So to print up our receipt, these are the functions that we are going to be adding into our program. So to print up a receipt for a user, I'm just going to use some simple function that can print for us the entire form. So you guys, you can go and customize and so that you can print the exact list box. So just double click on the print and just add one as UserForm 1.print form. That's just the form print I'm going to be using here for this program for today, but I'll show you later on. If I told you guys want, you can send me, or if any of you happen to come up with a program that I can only print for you the list box and in kind of manner like mine, so I will just be so thankful to you. Any of you might have made one, I'll be happy. You know, this we are in this environment, we are learning and we are studying, so anyone who has made one is great. I'm just trying to show you mine how it's going to be working up with. So if you happen to put your OSP and I just put here my the stuffs I'm taking, if that's it, and that's it. I happen to put there, and that's what I happen. Maybe I'm not taking any of that. I'm not taking any of those stuff so far, so I'm just going to take that. So when I click, I think you can see the text there already printed for us. When I click print, I think you can see it's going to be generating. I think you have already seen it as open, so in desktop. So I can just come back here and I say maybe just save it as maybe YouTube to my desktop. So it's really going to be saving as a PDF format. That's by its default. So when I click save, I think you can see it has already printed. I can always reset this and I wind up my system. I close it up if I want to close. So I'm just going to be saving my program so that I can even close up this very piece of code. So I can close up everything. So when you try to cross check here, I think you can see my PDF already generated. If I just happen to try to open up this, what I was trying to talk about, that it's not going to generate from all what I need, but to generate from the entire stuff in the program, the entire receipt and the entire everything. That's what I can simply say the system has happened to to print out. But then that's it, what may happen to do for you guys. I know we shall always learn Apple to show you in the next video on another program, on the same program still, how to customize and only print up your list box. And if any of you there who has the video ready and has already done that, so that's great. You can always comment down and show me where your video is and how you happen to make that happen to work. So that's great, my friends. I hope you have enjoyed my video. If maybe any of you is actually having some question to ask me, please, you can always ask me up your questions. So that's great. So that's the system we happen to make, and how it happen to look up for the customer, and how to happen print out the customer's complete information. Thanks you guys for watching. Love you all. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Love you. Thank you.